Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Tiffany in the building. Welcome to Coach Coffee Time with Coach Ja. I'm your host, Coach Ja, in the building. It is a lovely Monday morning. If you don't think so, I challenge you to make today a wonderful day. Daybreak in the building. What's good? If you don't think that today is a beautiful morning, I challenge you to tell me why. Let's work on that. And I know that things are not always great, right? Things are not always grand. Things are not always grand. But here is the thing. You have a choice to either live in that moment or make it better. You have a choice to either live in that moment or make it better. And I challenge you to that. Ja Easy. Ah, that's what's up, Tiffany. I like that. Appreciate you, Bonnie. I appreciate you going to be chasing a new baby before you don't. Listen, I'm going to be chasing my baby girl around and I'm going to enjoy it. Let me tell y'all something. Here's the beautiful thing that I love about fatherhood. There's a title. There's only one more title that I think stands above fatherhood in its own direction. That's motherhood, right? But right after motherhood, it has to be father. Like being able to be for a young person, a young human being to run to you and say, "Hey, Daddy, I love you," or to put their fingertips on your face. I mean, there's so much poetry in that. Good morning, Brittany Thomas. There's so much poetry in being a father. Um, I do understand that there's so many challenges with being a father, right? But there is nothing more beautiful than having that moment to be a dad, to have a child that you help create and that you get to say that this is your child. That child gets to call you dad or baba or papa or poppy, whatever you choose, right? And I at one point in time I was like, man, I don't have a son with my last name. Mike, what up? Biggs, what up, son? At one point in time, I didn't have because I didn't grow up with my sons because of the situation with them and their moms and her moving all around. I didn't get to develop that relationship that I have with my daughter, right? And having that relationship changed so much in my life as far as being a father. And I think when men have daughters, I think that's a different thing too. And like I'm not gonna say I did everything perfect, but when my daughter was born, there's a lot of situations, but I decided that my happiness count. You know what I'm saying? Like I was more into what made me happy, and it took me a while to really realize that that's what I was struggling with, and I was in a situation that didn't allow me to be happy. Right, even in me trying to grow in whatever my career was going to be, I didn't know that it was going to be in being an author and a creative writing coach and a life coach for that matter. Right, I did not know it was going to be that, but the challenges within trying to find that medium. Lady Thomas, what's good? Try to find that meaning had been something to Kendra, what's good? Trying to balance life versus what I thought what life should be. And I think we get caught up in trying to figure out what is the difference between this is the life that I'm living and this is the life I want. Now you can have the life you want, but you got to remember that there's a roadmap to lead to that life. And I think a lot of times we miss that. And that's what I was missing for a lot. I was actually fighting with the life that was, hey, this is it. And living in the idea that, yo, this is all it's going to be for me. And I had to actually fight out of that. And my daughter, with seeing her face light up anytime she saw me, that made my idea of happiness stretch. You know what I'm saying? It made it grow because I didn't really know um, what being a dad was about because I mean, you got a kid and that's it. You figure, and I knew I wanted to be there, right? I wanted to be there. I know I wanted to be there. And that was my main thing. I wanted to be there. I did not want it to be a situation where I'm not uh, in my daughter's presence. I'm not in her life and that she didn't see me. I wanted to be there all the time. I wanted to be when she walked. I wanted to be there when she smiled. I wanted to be when she cried. Um, some of the greatest moments was when she would have nightmares and I would jump up out of the bed and run down the hallway, stepping on toys and falling over toys and bikes and all kinds of things just to get to her room because she was having a nightmare. But I ran full speed ahead, hearing her scream like that. And I remember those moments and they remind me of of the purpose of being available to your child. And everybody didn't have that. Everybody don't know about that. And that's not a horrible, that is a horrible thing, but we don't know the situations, right? And so I try to tell people all the time, I, because I didn't grow up with my dad in the home and I didn't see him a lot, I had to go back and think about what he had gone through in his life and then put myself in his shoes and then say, what would I have done if I was in his shoes? And now I can answer that as if I'm him, but I wasn't. And then I can't say, yes, I would have done this. Yes, I would have done it because I don't know. And I think that's some of the biggest problems we have. We don't know what we would have done. We assume that we would have done differently. But you also have to assume that you might not have survived what that person survived. And so I'm not saying give a pass. I'm not saying just act like, if your parent wasn't there, just act like, oh, well, whatever. That is a decision you have to make on your own. I can't force you to reach that realization. But at the end of the day, here's what you have. You could do two things. You can hold on to it and let it be the death of you, right? Or you could actually change your life. You can change that whole concept. You can change what happens from that day on. I'm trying to get comfortable. I see. You can make your life with that person, whatever that relationship is. You have everything you need to make that relationship different. And I think most people don't. They fail to realize that they have that chance to do so. They fail to realize that, and that I think hurts generationally. You know what I mean? Oh, this person, they never liked their dad. They've been upset with their dad. But because it's usually the dad, it's not always the mom. And I don't have that. I don't have I don't have that issue. I don't get to talk about what if my mom wasn't here or if my mom didn't do this or didn't do that. I don't have that. So I can't speak on that. But I can speak on what my dad and I have missed and what I would prefer to have now as opposed to what I couldn't have then. And then for me, it was also a challenge for me because me being the oldest, I always felt like, and I'll say it like I was, upset with my pops because I wanted him to be there for my brothers, for my little brothers and sisters. Like I wanted him to be there more so for them. And not that I didn't need it because I needed it, but I felt like they needed it more than I needed it. You know what I mean? And we all needed it the same. It's not a one needed more than the other one. But in my mind, I guess because I was the oldest, for me, it was like, yo, I need you to be here for them, yo. I need you to, come be there for these children, these my siblings. But man, I'm not their pops. Like I don't know how to be their pops. I can't be. And so I reared them the way I knew how, if you would, when because I was in charge when my mom wasn't around. And it was rough. It was rough, man. It was rough, but all of my siblings have such a level of respect for me. And I thank my mom for that because of her putting me in a position and making it stated that, this is your oldest brother. Mike, what up, bro? Making sure they know that I'm the oldest brother and that, there was a level of a chain of command, if you would, when she was not home. Even when she was home, there was things that, wasn't going to work. And because of that, she allowed them to be, to continue. She allowed them to fall in line with the idea that, okay, this is our big brother and we need to be respectful and all of that. And part of that is why Wits and I are so tight, because Wits always had that level of respect for me as his big brother. Doesn't mean we agree with everything because we're human, right? And he's a grown man. He don't have to agree with stuff just because I'm his older brother. We disagree about stuff all the time, but it don't change nothing. We go right along with it like it ain't nothing happening. Which helps me. I never understood how people beef with their siblings and they don't talk for years and decades, man. Like I hate it. Like I'm glad my sister's not far from us now, but I don't like when siblings are separated and they can't. I'm not talking to them, and I don't like that, man. I'd rather. It's just hurtful. It's hurtful because you never know what's going to happen in somebody's life. And then you out here with this hurtful spirit, you know what I mean? And then now everybody's struggling. Nobody's able to manage, and something happened, and now it's all uncomfortable when you got to meet and greet each other. I never liked that kind of feeling. So I'm never going to understand how people can go on for decades and not want to. Arthur Lynette, Lynette, good morning to you. I had got tongue tied for a minute. So yeah, I just want to encourage you today to reach out to family and friends, and those who you can mend relationships with. Reach out to them and just be J Love in the building. Reach out to them and Mystical, good morning. Reach out to them and try to mend some things. My mom and some of her siblings stopped talking after their mother. Yeah, and that's so sad, Mystical. And like I think there's a reward in making the first efforts to kind of change that and be like, you know what, it's not that serious. We could make this a better situation. I think there's a reward in that, and I think that we need to. We have an obligation to fix those things with family, right? If you are family, you have an obligation to fix that. It doesn't have to stay like that. You know what I'm saying? And so I think one of the best ways to talk about that, Ramadan, good morning to you. One of the best ways to do that, start fixing that, is simple. You start by admitting what you've done, right? Admitting what you've done and what you have been under. Who is this? My name is, I don't know who that is. But I'm not bringing anybody on right now, unless you had something that was relevant to what I'm talking about. But I don't even know who this is right here. And so we can change things if we choose to change things. Things don't have to stay the same way. We always have the potential, and we have the ability to change situations, to lighten them, to at least if nothing else, accept them for what they are, so that we can move forward with whatever can be next. Yeah, and so I want to spend some time today talking about some fun stuff, right? Let's talk about social media etiquette. Like, I don't understand how people, how they carry on social media in the way they do. Like, why does something that I post that may not have anything to do with you, why does that make you so upset? And so, like, if I say, you know, I don't like green turtlenecks, right? And it just so happens you put on a green turtleneck this day, or you wore one yesterday, but I didn't know it. Like, why does that offend you? Like, you to what point you got to come and argue on my page? I hate it. And you know what's worse? I think grown men do it worse. Grown men love to argue on Facebook, and I don't get it. I don't get it. Yeah, my pops is still living, Juice. He is, and we talk. We don't talk all the time, but I do have conversations with my dad. Good morning, Miss Summer, and Nopal in the building, and what is that? Mir. I'm not something gallery. I'm sorry if I'm messing up your name, but I'm sorry. But good morning, welcome to the show. Arthur Lynette says water is thicker than blood. No, now some issues just can't be fixed. It's not like the old days. Yeah, unfortunately, I agree that some issues are so different. And Venus in the building, what's good? Some issues are so deeply rooted in families, right, that it's hard to come back from it. But I don't think that it can't be fixed. Prada, if you can come on YouTube, because it's a lot and I can't really get it out with the background and the wording, so I might not be able to get your whole question out. So if you can come on to YouTube, then I can see it. If you're on Facebook, I don't know, sometimes I don't see all the messages on Facebook if you're not actually on the thing. If you're just putting on a post, I won't see it. You have to, the live has to be up and going, and then when you post it, it'll show up. I just found that out too. So if you're posting on Facebook and it's just on, and you're not actually, the live isn't opened up on your phone, I won't be able to see the messages until after it's all done. Just so you know, they are too sensitive and needs to get a live. Yeah, they are too sensitive, need to get live. Kendra, I agree. That happened to me. My oldest sister was killed, and my second oldest wouldn't talk to me. I hurt so bad. I realized she actually checked out. I understood when she checked back in. And you know what? I'll tell you this. The idea is that at least they were able to come back. When people are able to come back and we can find a way to mend whatever the relationship is, that is the most important part. We can get past whatever the bump in the road was, right? We can get past that. The idea there has to be a want and a desire to do so. And we can actually fix that. We can actually come back from those things. I do agree that. Good morning. Good morning, Ortiz. As far as social media, the first hit, the first hit dog. Listen, you're right. You're right. But sometimes, and so like I posted, Deaf Youth brings families together. Now they are so far apart. That's true, Arthur Lynette. That is very true. I posted on Facebook. I asked a question. I said, "Do you believe that they made it to the moon?" Because I don't believe it, and I don't care what people post and what they say. I don't believe that they made it to the moon. I don't, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I believe it. I don't believe they made it to the moon. I believe they lied and all of that stuff. And so I posted it. And people actually got mad and upset. And they was like, yo, you don't believe in this? Oh, you read this, you read that. And I'm like, listen, I don't have to. Even if I don't read that, or even if I do read it, I still don't have to believe that people made it to the moon. I don't believe, listen, believing they made it to the moon is just like saying they have a vaccine for this corona. I don't believe it. How are you going to prove to me they made it to the moon? Let's go back, right? And so when they were racing, when the United States was racing against Russia was months ahead of them, and all of a sudden, they make it to the moon before Russia made it. That was a lie. Playing that damn song, that was a lie. Are you a flat Earth guy? I don't know. I'm mystical. I don't spend enough time, Mike, in the building. I don't spend enough time trying to decide whether the earth is round or flat. You know why? We got to get out. Our people got more issues to work on. Our people have more issues to work on. They're worried about whether the freaking earth is flat or round. I don't give a damn. I didn't fall off. I haven't fallen off. Nobody I know has fallen off the earth and fell in outer space. I don't care if it's flat or round. I really don't. I don't even spend time thinking if it's flat or round. I don't think that it's flat. I think the earth is round, but I just definitely don't believe that it's a freaking that these people made it to the damn moon. Like the magic bullet. You mean to tell me JFK was daggone killed by a magic bullet that did all of that? Come on, man. Listen. These people put whatever I don't care what the scientists say and all this stuff. That stuff don't affect my everyday. So I'm not spending time focusing on that. I don't believe they made it to the moon. Nothing you can say gonna change that. Nothing. Not a damn thing. The earth is round. Black woman got backsides to prove. Oh man, that's my man Sean. Listen, yeah, I don't spend time on that. That's like arguing about who's got the best rap song ever, or the best song period ever. There's a lot of stuff they taught us that probably they made up. Mike, listen, I don't believe nothing that this government tells us. I don't believe anything. I don't believe anything. Because if they tell us that we're a minority, but then they tell us that when slavery was here, how many slaves were to a plantation? So how did it happen? Then you mean to tell me that these people just all of a sudden just started making other non-black people just appear out of anywhere? Let's just look at small towns that had slaves. The plantation was full of slaves with 2 people running the plantation. Maybe they kids. But you mean to tell me we all of a sudden a minority? You got to be kidding me. They were bringing us by the slew. They were breeding us like cattle. So how in the hell are we minority? When they were breeding us, it was a practice. They actually had men slaves who they would actually keep in bondage, feed them the best foods, keep them strong, keep them healthy so they can breed with other women. And that's what it was doing, like puppies, like cattle. They were breeding us so we can widespread, so we can have more people put in slavery. How in the hell are we a minority? Talk to me about that. They've got a cure for COVID. It's been on Lysol cans for years. Big Pharma game. Right. COVID spread because it was. Let me step back before I say that. First of all, you have to be an absolute devil to be practicing with chemicals to create a disease to kill people. We got enough shit to kill people. So you're actually in your laboratory creating chemicals to kill people. And I'm supposed to believe you tell me something for my good. Who created this shit? Okay, let's go back. There was a time when people died because they had diarrhea. They had no cure for it. They know how to cure for it, right? Now you get what Dave Chappelle said, eat 2 bananas and you're good. But it was a time when diarrhea, you get diarrhea, you gone. They had no cure for it. They was just diarrhea and dying. This is time ago, okay? Mumps, measles, all these things, right? Now, you got people trying to create shit to give to people. Look at Tuskegee. They were giving men diseases. Like, you got to be an absolute devil to do this kind of stuff. And they do it, and that's okay. And I'm supposed to believe you, right? Look at our when black men initially got into the war. When they initially started to go to war, they was going to war and they wouldn't even give them the proper stuff to fight with. In fact, they didn't even give them proper footing, the proper shoes. You know what I'm saying? Died from a jam. But I'm telling you, like, I don't believe nothing that these people tell you. I don't believe nothing that these people tell you. And people get so, oh, you didn't read this, you didn't read that. Damn it. Don't study what you read. Study the author of what you read. Study that author. You know what I'm saying? Study that person. Study the person who came up with these things to study. Chickenpox, all these things, smallpox. They actually gave these diseases to people. And we are listening to people who are descendants of those. Descendants of madmen. I don't believe nothing these people tell me, man. Nothing. Just like Katrina in New Orleans, okay? And I talked to people that lived and heard explosions, right? Just like, listen, when I was the athletic trainer for a semi-pro football team here in Charlotte when Katrina happened. And one of the quarterbacks had to go home to New Orleans. And he said he went home and the house was destroyed. And he said they went home to get their bikes, and they were riding their bikes up the bridge. And he said while they were coming up the bridge, first it was people like the March on Montgomery was people by the score that was walking up towards them. And he said it was looking so eerie, like it was a bad situation. He was like, yo. He said, we got off our bikes and left the bikes. We was like, yo, we can't do that because this mob of people who are hungry and hot and all of these different things, and it was not a safe situation. So he said they got off their bikes and started walking. They left their bikes right there and started walking. He said, but in that, helicopters were flying over and going to the white area and dropping packages off and saving people over there while they were flying right over black people on a bridge dying. And that broke my heart in a place. As a matter of fact, that might be a writing prompt. That broke me so, but can you imagine you are in the worst conditions trying to get out, trying to find something, and you see help coming in and they won't go where you're at. They go right over your head and go over there and help white people. That killed me. That broke me when I heard that story. And then there was a story. There was a sheriff who was out saving people. He hadn't talked to his wife. He was like, man, he got to get home. He was saving people. On his way home, they said it was a body in the water. He went over to the body in this water. And he turned the body over. And when he turned it over, the body was his wife. And so he took out his gun and blew his head off right there. That was a story about heard about there. And oh my God, can you imagine? That broke my heart. Like he could have maybe saved his wife. He's out saving other people. And maybe he would not have been able to save her, right? We don't know. But just the idea, imagine you walking on a bridge and you see a body in the water, you turn this body over and it's your mate. It's your spouse. Can you imagine that? Man, and just to think that these people did that. These people blew up the damn Miss Diva, how you doing? These people blew up the damn spot. They blew it up. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't believe nothing that this government tells me, man. Nothing. You got somebody who is illegal and has done so much illegal stuff, illegal behaviors, and he's sitting in the highest seat in this place, and they can't just remove him. And that's fucking ridiculous, man. I don't get. Listen, you can't tell me shit about what this government can do and what they want to do. They do what they want to do. That's it. And my problem is with black people, what frustrates me so much is that we keep saying our votes don't count, but never use them. They say all the time, "Oh, our votes don't count. Our votes don't count," but we never use them. If you never voted, you can't have that conversation with me. You can't. And when me and AJ talk about this on Thursday, I'm hoping y'all come on Thursday at 7 o'clock. These are the conversations we want to have. How do you think we can actually change our people's mindsets and fix those things? Because how in the hell are you going to tell me what don't count and you never chose to use it? You never took the moment to try to use it. Never. Never. We never had 100% of black people voting. We never had 100% of black people doing anything. We never do something 100%. We can't do it with them because they believe in this and they go to this church and they go to that mosque and they believe in this God and I believe in that God and they carry this color and they live on this side and they think they're good and they bougie and they uppity and they too hood for me and they this and that. We never did shit together. So how you gonna tell me it don't work? Here's what I always tell people. Right, Mike. I don't think I could either, but then we don't know in the aspect of how we would have responded, right? And then he was up for hours and fighting, so he wasn't in his right state of mind either. But let's think about this. If you look on the internet, right? And let me say this first, because I'm not telling you to do like an uprising to overturn the government and all this stuff. I'm not telling you to do nothing like that. And I don't want anybody to think that's what I'm doing. Matt, what's good, bro? I want to make sure you know that is not what I'm not professing the mob. I'm not professing the coup or overthrow the government. I'm not saying, I'm not promoting that. But what I want you to look at, when you look at other countries, when they're sick of their corruption in their government, everybody get together, they take to the streets, and then they make a change in their country. They get together and they make a change for what's right. If the entire country wants to make a change for what's right and what's wrong, let's get together and make a change for what's right and what's wrong. That's nothing hard to do. Stop telling me about, oh, the system is in place and oh, the new world order. I don't want to hear none of that shit. It only works if you keep going along the way you're going along. The moment you change it, they can't continue the program. And everybody's like, oh, well, the new world order is already in place and this, that, and the other thing. Let me tell you something now. I'm going to tell you something. Even in that, it can't work without money. And if we keep putting our money in the same places, it doesn't change. If we stop putting our money in certain places, it changes. It's simple shit. Nothing works without money. If we get together as a country, I'm talking about the whole country, white, black, green, yellow, orange, brown, blue. I don't give a damn what color you dyed your face. If you get together and we decide this is what we want to do, this is our country, we live here, let's fix it. It is that simple. But no, y'all want to do stupid stuff like, no, well, I'm just going to stay here and that don't affect me. I got my job. I got my house. That's where they want you. That's how it works. Look at what the Jews did in New York City. They got together. They went to court and they in front of the damn a federal judge in New York City to debate whether or not they have to wear masks. Now, making everybody else wear masks, they fought so they don't have to wear masks. They went to court and won. And they don't have to wear masks. While this COVID shit is going on, they don't have to wear masks. Tell me we can't do that. Tell me we can't get together and fight. You understand what I'm saying? We can get together and fight. The Jews were in bondage, but they came together. Listen, what's that? Half Lord Josephine, listen to me. You said the magic words. I'm going to replay what I've said for years that I always say. Listen to this very carefully. Yeah, they're getting sick, Mike. I bet they are. I bet they are. Here's what I want to say. When this country was run by, when the Ku Klux Klan was running without the robes, without the police uniforms, without the judge positions, without the senator positions, well, some of them were senators and governors still, but when they were running loosely in this world, right? The Ku Klux Klan said they want to get rid of two people. And they would say they wanted to get rid of niggers and Jews. Lucian, what's good? They said, the Ku Klux Klan said they wanted to get rid of niggers and Jews. That's their language. That's not my wording. That is what they said, right? Well, the Jews got together and they created laws and bills and they took it to Congress and they fought like hell to get their laws in place. That's what they did. They kept their money to themselves. Yes, they had slaves. Yes, Jews were gangs. Yes, Jews did some jacked up shit. Go back and read it. Look at what they're doing now. And we'll break down Jew and Jewish in a minute. We'll go to that next. And they made these laws and they took these laws to the Capitol and all of these big high court, and they made their own laws. And now look at them. Now look at them. And I want to refer back to the word Jew. And a lot of people get in trouble and you're scared to say this. The original Jew is not outside of the black race. An original Jew is not a Jew, but is always has been black people. The original Jews were black people. Okay. And then they became Jewish people. The ish is the part that I'm gonna pay attention to, because this cup is blue, right? But then there's some blue in this award right here, right? There's some blue. It's bluish colors, bluish, meaning that it is a particular blue. It's like blue. Ish means like, so it's blue like. And so it makes them Jewish. They're like Jews. They make them Jew-like. It gives them that they've adopted to something. They attach themselves to something. You have to look at the research of the wording and see what it is. What before you was anything, you were that Jew belonged to your black skin. That definition belonged to your black skin before you were anything. And we miss these things. We miss these points. We miss all these ideas. We call ourselves lovers of Christ. But in fact, Christ was what? By the definition of a Christian, Jesus could not have been a Christian. He was a Jew. And so we get lost in these taglines and these titles and these issues and all this, and we lose it. We lose it every time. Don't take my word for it. Go back and study it. Go back and study. I'm not telling you don't follow Jesus. I'm not telling you don't be a Christian. That ain't none of my opinion. I have nothing to do with that. But what I'm trying to explain to you is simple. If the man that you follow, whether you call him a man, whether you call him a prophet, whether you call him a God or God-like, whatever you call him, how can you follow him as something other than what he already was? Other than what he told you to do? I'm not knocking the religion. I'm not. But I'm trying to help you understand how you decide what you decide you want to be. How do you determine what it is that you want to be or you're going to call yourself? You have to dig within your research and research what it is. But going back to my statement, they just got together and they changed shit. When have we, black people, gotten together and changed something? Overall, all of those laws that the Jews push, that the Jewish community push, all those laws apply to us too. Every one of them. The problem is we don't apply it because we're too busy scattered. We're like this. We're scattered apart. Running there, running. We're never together, right? I can slap you and you feel it, but I never really seen too many people knocked out from a slap. But if I put this together and I'm knock the hell out of you, I'll knock you out with a punch, with a closed fist together. And that's what we don't use. We don't use our might. We don't use our might. Right, Dave Sugar Hill, you said it. They built all of their laws off of our backs, like everything else in this country. Matt, what's good, bro? You need to holler at me. It's been a long time. They use us to build everything they do. Everything. You know, a lot of cases are won in big time courts off of us, off of cases that we've been in. In order for you to take a case to court, your attorney researches other judgments that helped your case, that was similar to your case, and allowed them to get that person to get off a case. They study them. Well, if they're studying cases to present to the judge, who are the most people that's locked up as it is? They study cases that happen to other black people to help other black people get out of jail. Everything they do is built off of our backs. But we so silly because we think we like to be separated. We don't have no community. I remember growing up and we knew everybody on the block. We knew the old people down there. We knew the kids across the street. We knew people on the next block over. I remember waiting for our friends to come from the other block over in New York City. I hope they come out today because my mother didn't allow us to go around the corner. But today it ain't the same. You barely know who your next door neighbor is. When's the last time you went next door to ask for, can I borrow a stick of butter till my mother go to the store? We don't do that no more. We don't know nothing about that no more. Let me catch up on some of these comments. We're so busy competing against each other. We are preoccupied with jealousy and unaware of separation. Lack of knowledge, education system is keeping this generation stupid, and the parents are too busy. Absolutely. Absolutely. That was a poor, excuse me. Yeah, we need to change some things. If we're looking for 100% black unity, we're fooling ourselves. All that's needed for us is to be a powerful force to unite. Well, Emmanuel, I will say this. At this moment, it looks as if it is impossible, but it's possible. It is possible. I believe that we have everything it takes to be a one united people. I believe we have that. I just don't. That's why they had to get rid of Fred Hampton. Fred Hampton could bring people together that would never have sat together ever. And when you are able to do that, you are at war and they're coming to get you. But they're only coming to get you because you haven't bonded together. You can't go get nobody in the Jewish community. You can't get not one of them. You can't even arrest them. I marched with Dr. Martin Luther King, and I saw how his own black people said they were crazy. Listen, Josephine, Miss Josephine, I'm gonna tell you like this here. I even marched with Al Sharpton. I marched with Al Sharpton in the 80s, and I remember Al Sharpton walking through the neighborhood, no police, just people who lived in the community who was tired, and went through the neighborhoods and banged on the doors where the drug houses were, and I've witnessed drug dealers grab their stuff and run and go and leave because Al Sharpton brought a whole community together and walked through all the drug houses. There wasn't like some walked through all the drug. I was so proud to walk. I was a teenager, and I might have been 13. I was so proud to be in that march, and I think I have my issues with marching without an agenda, without having something on the other end of the march. There's some things that I'd like to see happen out of a march. I'm not against marching. I'm against marching without a purpose. Without, okay, after we get here, this is what we're gonna do. I'm against that. I've protested before. Protests to me aren't worth anything if it's nothing that happens after the protest. Like, we need to protest and then here we go. This is what's next. Having these groups and piling up these names, and where are they? You know, I'm tired of seeing groups only pop up when somebody's dead. Like, we have things now. There's a major election coming up in Georgia that we need to be talking about. In 2 years, there's gonna be another major election coming up. What are we talking about? Part of that is what me and AJ want to talk about on Thursday. How do we get these political folks on our table? how do we get, and that's what I want to talk about. How do we get them to sit at the table and say, this is what we want pushed, right? And then have them sign that that's what they're going to push before we put them in office. And then we have something to argue with. If people are saying, promise us you're going to help us out, and that's all they have to say is, I promise, then you don't have no promise. Your stuff has to be documented. And so I want to talk about how we get our stuff written on a ballot. How do we get what we want, this bill? How do we put this in position so that we can vote somebody in who is going to fight for that? That doesn't happen in the presidential election, y'all. That does not happen in the presidential election. In fact, I would rather do the Senate and the governor and not do the presidential election, because the presidential election ain't worth a damn if you don't have nothing in place on that lower level. You got to do that on a lower level. I think that that's some of our biggest issues. We don't have it on the table. We don't have it on the table, right? We don't have it on the table. We don't have nobody. And it doesn't matter who's in place. If we have them sign on the dotted line, this is what you're going to work on. Once we put them in office, they don't have a choice. It's there. Now they have to work on it. But we got to put that shit on the table. So how do we do that? And if anybody in here knows how to do that, DM me, because that's what we want to talk about on Thursday. Or if you know somebody in law that can come on and talk about that, hell, I'll bring them on right now, but I will have them on Thursday. In fact, I will bring them on another time so we can have that conversation, because we need to know that process. It doesn't take a million people to put that together. We need the people who can put it together, get it put together, and then put it behind a candidate that will fight. Because once it's written, then the candidate has no choice, because that is why you're in office. I don't care what your agenda was. You want to get in office, this is what your agenda will be. And then it's written. That's where we lose wrong. We take people's word of mouth. I promise when I get in office, I'm going to work for you. That ain't shit. Mystical, if you got me, cool. I will move somebody off of a show to put that on the show. In fact, I will do a whole nother show. And so we can put that on the table, find out what needs to be done. How do we write this up? What needs to be written up? Who writes it up? Present it, get it written up. And then we got an election coming up in 2 years. We should be writing that up right now. That should be our goal right now. And it starts state by state, state by state. We do it in one state, it happens in another state. And it doesn't matter who's against it. Doesn't matter. There needs to reform of the Constitution. Illusion. Listen, I'm not even going to talk about the Constitution, right? Because another reason why Black people don't read it, because we don't understand half of the shit written in the Constitution anyway. It don't make sense. They need to change that to make it plain, simple English. They don't even teach us how to read that shit in school. They don't even teach us that. The whole Constitution needs to be reformed. Absolutely. This entire country needs to be reformed. Period. It needs to be broken because it's severed now. It needs to be broken and remended back with some real Black gorilla glue, because the shit they got now ain't working. And we need to change that. You know what I'm saying? You have to go to your state house, do your homework, know the laws and codes, and call them out on hold. Count. Arthur Lynette, 100% correct. Here's what has to be done. And this is what I'm asking all of you who are here on this feed, everybody who's here listening to me. I want you to send those folks to me. Let me bring them on this feed. Let me bring them on this show so we could ask these questions. We could present the shit that needs to be presented. You will be surprised the work we can get done right here. I'm not concerned about right this moment. I'm concerned about tomorrow, because the moment I just said right this moment is gone already. I can't get that shit back. We need to talk about tomorrow. We need to talk about tomorrow. Listen, send it to them, Mike. Have them contact me. I will put them on the show, and it'll be a series, because once we learn how to do this thing, we can stop saying votes don't count, and then we can be pissed off at people who won't vote. Because if you're not voting, listen, I don't know shit about Joe Biden. Is he a favorite of mine? Would I have picked him out of the crowd and say, hey, vote him in office? No, but I do think that Joe Biden is a better goal than this person sitting here now. that hellion sitting there right now has to go. And so I will refuse to not vote. In fact, I didn't even think they would have voted him in, but it just shows you how ignorant these people are to vote somebody like that in office. In fact, I have unfriended so many people because of their irregards to people who are been affected by this asshole in this office. And I'm excuse my language, but damn it, I'm just mad. Okay. But what we need to do is stop saying, well, that's the lesser of two evil. We don't need the lesser of two evil. We need to fix people in place so by the time the evil get in office, we still have our agenda here. And then once that person is gone, we keep another person to push it. He is going to, Kamala will have to take over. Listen, I've heard so many people say things about Kamala. I don't know. I don't want to research the old shit. I want to stick with what's new. I'm going to support who's there and who we can put in position to make these things happen. I don't apply to what don't apply to us. Josephine. I want to support who's in office, and I want to support who has our agenda on the table. I'm so disappointed with Ice Cube with that video because the timing. I'm not mad at what he said. I'm mad at the timing that he did it. I have no regards for Kanye West and his silly shit. Okay, if he's going through depression, he's surrounded by people, he's surrounded by money. There has to come a time where you decide to fix your own shit. And he hadn't found it out yet because he's spoiled, because he's got money that's on him. I cannot help that. In my mind, I would never vote him to be a president because what is he going to do? First of all, he was kissing Donald Trump's ass in office. Oh, you should be in a spaceship, in a jet. You're supposed to have this blinged out, this and that. That's some idiot shit. Now, y'all can talk about mental health and all that. I agree. He's got some mental issues. I agree. So do I. So does everybody who is descendant of a human being that they made a slave. If you're a descendant from that, you are dealing with some mental things, some emotional things that you have not been able to deal with yet. In the back of your mind, you are never going to forget slavery, never going to forget that you were born from a family line of somebody who made it across these waters to become a slave to somebody else. In the back of your mind, that doesn't leave you. And so you have to work against that every day. And know that this country sees you as that every day. How you know? Because you can remember it and you didn't live through it. So they're going to keep it as a constant reminder. So for me, for you to come into a situation and let's be clear. Let's be clear. I don't think a lot of these freaking entertainers should be in official offices, presidents and Donald Reagan punk ass was a damn an actor, if I'm not mistaken. You know what I mean? You had this racist Arnold Schwarzenegger as a senator or governor. I will never watch an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie ever in my life. He can kiss my ass. And then to see the fact that he wouldn't even answer the phone for Tookie Williams. He wouldn't even listen. The man was never coming home from prison. Okay, but he turned his life around, and he even was awarded or was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize for writing children's books. He was changing his life around. So you mean to tell me he can't fix his life and you let him die because of shit he did in his past and he changed his life? And you got these damn serial killers and serial rapists that are still living every day that ain't thinking about changing their damn life, ain't did nothing, ain't wrote no books to help nobody. And you took him out of here. I don't give a damn. Reagan was an actor and the governor of California. Yeah, and a damn president. And he was a devil. Fuck Ronald Reagan. A devil. And go back and find out in the old text what the word devil means. Don't look at what the word devil means now. Another problem with this English language is they allow it to. The English language is so manipulative. It is written in a way that they can make you believe that ain't what they saying. I hate it. I hate it. Like I said before, if you're alive on this planet and survived, birth trauma is in your DNA. Illusion. That's right. Trauma. Listen. Let's look at that. Let's look at that. Think about planting a seed. It has this plastic-like shell, right? This waxy-like shell. The seed is hard. Some of them, not all, but some of them are hard, right? You put it in the ground and you're watering the seed. And so the roots have to burst through the seed. That's pain in itself. That's a forceful thing, right? It doesn't gradually just come out. It has to pierce the skin and force its way out. And then it's growing, it's stretching, it's growing. That's just a seed from a plant. And then it grows its stem, and then it grows its leaves, and then its produce comes from it, right? Whatever vegetation that may be. Think about a human being. Muddy water, sperm reaches the egg. The egg begins to do this thing. And then you have it growing. There's fingers and there's a head that grows, there's a brain that grows, and fingernails and bones and teeth, gums. All these things grow from a seed. It is painful. It's beautiful, but it's pain. And there's a woman whose body begins to mold to the form of life coming out, coming into fruition. There's a whole human being growing within her womb. Her body is changing now. There's a rounding in the abdominal area. It is bursting through. That is trauma. Right? It's a beautiful trauma, but it is trauma nonetheless. You don't know the effects of that because it's different for every person. It's different every time. No two babies come out alike. No two babies form exactly alike. No two human beings become the same experience. Look at all that a woman's body has to fight through. A woman's body does everything to fight the embryo because it's a foreign body. If it survives, you win. Yes, illusion. Absolutely. And think about the mastification, the mastery in the creation of a woman. Hips that are made to spread in order to house this. The bone structure stretches in order for it to house and protect this swollen womb, this new foreign entity that is entering her body. Absolutely, illusion. Absolutely. We can tell who've been reading Baby Looks. Mike, I haven't. And honestly, I haven't. But it's just, and so growing up the way I grew up with my mom and the way she taught, in fact, even the way my father speaks, even though he didn't grow up, raise me, even his conversations and a lot of my mannerisms is still like my dad. My dad is an excellent speaker. He speaks in Arabic, he prays in Arabic, Hebrew, he writes Arabic. In fact, my mom actually is writing Arabic now. But it's in a way that we were the way we were taught in our home. Right? The way we're taught in our home, speech is going to be there because you've learned things in a certain manner. My mom is a lecturer. She will give a lecture. If you ever have the pleasure of sitting in my mother's presence and just listening, my mother will teach you so much in a little span of time. And that's what she wants to do. In fact, if it wasn't for COVID, my mom was looking towards doing some things for women, and maybe it's a situation that can happen. She can do a talk for women. My mother has a lot of information for women, and she's such a beautiful and amazing spirit, and I would love to share her with the world. So I'm hoping that there's some things that can work out via the internet, and that people will be supportive of that. My mom loves to have those conversations with women, and I'm trying to get a situation where she's comfortable with doing it, and I'll help her do it. And I'm hoping that that works because you would learn. My mom raised me, raised my brother Witz, raised all my siblings, and she taught us so much. And in that, we those are the things that I get to. These things that I've learned when I was young. A lot of things I'm telling you, it wasn't like I learned it yesterday. I will assume, Mike, like I said, it's just trying to work out some things so that's comfortable for her and with what she does with her life and not force her to do it. But I definitely want to bring my mom up on the show. And I want to have a show with just me and my mom. And we will eventually get to that point. But I want her to have her own show and it's women only. And that she can talk to sisters and they can get a different level of understanding of some things that they may not have been through. And just having those talks. And Illusion, maybe my mom can be a guest on your show. I'll see if that's something that she wants to do. But listen, if y'all love me, you would love my mom. Yeah, that's right, Matt. That's right. And so we got about 5 minutes left, man. You know, I love having these. I don't prepare for these mornings, even when I have a guest on. I just love. I love what the Creator has blessed me with. That's from my physical being to the mother and father that I belong to, the family line that I belong to, and the siblings I belong to, the life I have today, like my life and to somebody else, my life is the best life in the world. And I've complained about some things that I don't complain about now. Even my pain, I try to hide it as much as possible. It comes out, and those of you who've been around me and know me, you can probably tell when I am in pain and not. And I've learned to just be grateful because I can still feel. AJ said, "How did you morning?" And he said, "Well, he says, when my hands are for working, my fingers are still moving, my feet touch the ground, I can walk and keep my morning is great." And I once he said that, I started to believe that that's just a mental state that you need to always be in, because no matter what it is, there is something else that can happen, right? That doesn't have to be as great. Yes, the Giants beat the Seahawks, Mike. That's right. That's right. We no longer a wild card. But I'm so grateful for all of you who continue to come and support. Let me make mention. So we are going to do a Granny's Boys LLC fundraiser. We're doing a Granny's Boys LLC fundraiser. The fundraiser event is going to take place. We haven't set the date exactly because there's, people are celebrating and doing their things. Every one of you who are here on this line, I'm going to ask for your support for our campaign. I'm looking at a building right now. I'm looking at the materials we need for the building. I'm looking at the materials we need to move our company forward and get some things. Morning, Strange. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Josephine. And we are going to do a fundraiser in which we'll be asking some folks to help us with campaigning and doing some things for this fundraiser. There's a lot of ideas and plans that I have coming up this summer. I promise you this summer, I can't open. This summer, I want y'all to pay close attention. This summer, you're going to want to be in Charlotte. If you're not here, make plans to come this summer because I'm going to have some amazing things coming on. In fact, I think I am going to be on a phone call for my residency position today, and I'm already going to claim that. I'm going to already claim that, and then I'll be doing some of my lives from the residency and bringing people on and talking about some things and showing you part of the projects that I'm working on that are already in place. I just cannot wait to put that out there. But anyway, I'm gonna get off because I'm rambling, and there's a show that come on after me. But like I said, I got some things that are coming up. If you're in the comments, I'm going to respond to those comments later on. I can't respond to them now. The time just kind of went by. And thank y'all so much for tuning in. Thank y'all for being a part of this morning. Thank you for being great. You have everything you need to be great. Everything that you need to make this day amazing, you already possess it. You have the potential to be absolutely amazing. And so I'm going to challenge you in this moment to be better today than you was yesterday. Be better at loving yourself. Be better at loving your family. Be better at being better to other people. You don't have to give everything away, but just give away love because it's free and it don't cost you a thing. Be mindful of your energy. Be mindful of how you protect your energy and protect your person. I love you for tuning in. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here. I will see you tomorrow morning. My guest, I don't know who my guest is, but I have a guest tomorrow morning. But I'll see you then. I love y'all. Be good. Stay amazing. Stay great. And I will see y'all soon. Wish me the best. Peace and love. Thanks.